Organizations globally are struggling to adopt generative AI because of certain core fundamental problems. Structured and unstructured data needs to come together for generative AI solutions to make the most sense. Security is another issue which companies typically struggle with. The large language models can answer questions either in an accurate way or sometimes can hallucinate, so traceability becomes a tremendously important problem. JKTech's JIVA is the generative AI adoption accelerator which has been built for enterprises to be able to get onto the generative AI bandwagon faster, cheaper, and more smoothly. Organizations typically have few core patterns of problems when they want to adopt generative AI. Generative AI large language models typically work with different kinds of data. So getting structured and unstructured data together under a common composite fabric remains to be a challenge in the industry. JIVA focuses on bringing structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data very quickly under a knowledge graph, thus basically combining the data of different kinds together. The second problem which usually organizations face is around traceability. A large language model can respond to answers, but you do not know how accurate the answers are. So to increase accuracy, what we have built in JIVA is a completely citation-centric traceability engine. If you ask a question, it can tell you where it referred to give you the answer. The third thing which usually what happens is large language models are pre-trained in the industry outside the enterprise. When you bring that into the enterprise, it does not know the context of the business that enterprise is typically in. By using again a different kind of a technology, using GraphDB, we allow the large language model to be aware of the enterprise's private business context, which reduces hallucination. Unlike a lot of companies which are applying generative AI on specific use cases, JKTech works with generative AI patterns which make most sense for the organization to adopt their business cases around it. Based on these patterns, the personas, as in the people who will use that application, the data which is being used for the context of the LLM, are the 3 or 4 key pillars which JIVA is based on. Based on these patterns, now what we are doing is we are working with enterprises globally to understand which patterns make most sense and then crafting use cases so that JIVA, templates, patterns, accelerator can be used more effectively in a reusable way. The innovation group in JKTech constantly works with customers to understand what are their core problems and what can be automated or what can use generative AI in a more effective way. This whole set of studies is now coming into different kinds of patterns which are now being added to the core set of patterns with which JIVA is built. As over time we keep on building and doing more interesting customer projects, the pattern foundry keeps on building and being reusable more and more. Hence, JIVA becomes more effective across different kinds of use cases where generative AI has not even been thought about. There are some fundamental differentiators of JIVA which is very, very unique to the way it's built. Reducing hallucination, combining structured and unstructured data, traceability and security are some of the core pillars on which JIVA sits. Going forward, these patterns of the core differentiators will be extended to address architectural, privacy and data security challenges which JIVA will be actually be deployed in. Typically, the industry approaches generative AI and use cases separately, as in every use case, people are building generative AI solutions for that use case. JKTech's JIVA is very different. It's an overarching umbrella which the enterprise can adopt and from which different kinds of patterns can be derived and from which again it can be applied to specific use cases without having to rebuild and recreate the engineering pipeline. On top of that, JKTech's JIVA focuses on the core pillars for every enterprise, which they have to be secure, they have to be traceable, they need to reduce hallucination, and they need to have business context fed to the LLM in the easiest and the cheapest way.